Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and today we're going to take a look at the octatonic scale. Octatonic, 8 notes. An ordinary scale has 7. How do we make that work? Let's find out. So, the octatonic scale is a member of a class of scales that we call the symmetric scales. Now, I guess it kind of goes without saying that a symmetrical scale is going to be a little different from a conventional whole step, half step, whole step, half step scale. The most conventional symmetrical scale that everyone is familiar with is the chromatic scale, the scale of every note. If you go every other note, every whole step, you'll get the whole step scale. There are 2 whole step scales right next to each other. Does that make sense? Between those 2 scales, I have now played every note. The octatonic scale is a mix in a way because the octatonic scale has this formula: half step, half step, well, you get it, right? Let's take it from C. Half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. Taking a look at it on the screen, I'm going to expand this a bit so we can really break it down. It contains a C, an E, a G, and a B flat. And that should suggest to us the C dominant chord, C7. And there's a couple of unusual spicy tones in there. So you can see down below those tones that I'm playing on the keyboard: C, E, G, and B flat. And the secondary tones, that is the other notes, I'm going to select them individually here, have a really super kind of like world unto themselves. First of all, look what happens on the ordinary second step of the scale. I guess what we'd have to say is that there are 2 second steps of this scale. There's a flat version of it and a sharp version of it. Nice, right? It also includes a raised 4th degree. That's the F sharp here. And that raised 4th degree is great because the regular 4th degree just does not sound good with a dominant chord. All in all, we get a really great sound. C dominant. And of course, C dominant goes to F major. Well, the dominant chord and the octatonic scale that goes half step, whole step, whole step are wonderful to blow over changes with, to use in jazz or, that sort of jazz inflected chill music that we're hearing so much these days because those funny, spicy notes are wonderful. Let's take a quick inventory of the really only 3 scales that you need to know to play every dominant chord. And I'll show you why you only need to know 3. I guess it should make sense to you that if you have a scale that goes half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, that set of notes would repeat starting at the 3rd step of the scale. So if I start here on E flat and go half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, I've played the E flat dominant chord, haven't I? Because it's symmetrical. And in fact, I'll do it so you can see them all. This set of pitches, C, E flat, F sharp or G flat, and A, all share the same octatonic scale. The same set of notes. You might start in a different place. It all depends on usage, right? But That's incredibly useful. That means of the 12 possible notes I might start on, I've got 4 of them taken care of. There are 12 possible notes. One scale takes care of 4 of them. If that's true, that means that if I divide 12 by 4, I get 3. There are really only 3 octatonic scales. 3 octatonic scales, and you're set for life. Do you guys know the tune, Miles Davis tune, Tune Up? Here it is. Tune Up is a great teaching tune. And as you can see, it's built around 2 5s. The first line goes 2, 5, 1 in D. The second line, 2, 5, 1 in C, down a whole step, right? The third line, 2, 5, 1 in B flat, down a whole step again, basically trying to cover all the bases, right? Really getting in tune. And then a little turnaround to the E flat. And then kind of like the beginning, 2, 5, ooh, surprise, it doesn't go to D, it goes to B flat major, and then it flips around again. Well, I love that chord progression, and so I wrote a little contrafaction solo of it, and let's just kind of talk our way through. So the chord progression is from the sheet that you just saw there, and these are rootless voicings in the left hand. This is just me kind of like vamping along with it, but I tried to leverage the half step, whole step, octatonic scale whenever I came to a dominant chord to get spicy notes. There, the B flat, for instance. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you get a kind of a slightly off-kilter effect with those tones. It's a sound that your ear may be familiar with already and you might have been looking for. Well, I don't really pretend to be much of a jazz soloist, but I love the sound of the octatonic scale because it lets me access extensions on the chord that are spicy and also create a pathway which is really sensible. Plus, it's efficient. If you learn the 3 octatonic scales and figure out how they apply to all of the dominant chords, you'll have at your disposal a great set of tones to color your solos and just kind of create new worlds. Listen, like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I post something. I love this sound. I hope you enjoyed it too, and I really hope this was useful. I'll see you next time.